Well, the vibe certainly changed here on Boy Green Daily. 24 hours ago, we're like, oh, baby, the training camp and all this jazz is happening. And well, minutes after we got off the air, Haason Reddick is not showing up to training camp. So, what's the latest? We need the juicy details from someone who's in the know. Let's roll. It's time for Boy Green Daily on the first practice of New York Jets training camp 2024.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
What's poppin', everybody? Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your freaking podcast. And it's training camp practice day, baby. Everyone, the rest of everyone, reported yesterday, and we heard the Haason Reddick news. More on that in a minute. And then we got the first practice today. So let's go to our weekly guest who joins us every gosh darn Wednesday here on the show. It is Nick Faria of Athlon Sports and the Pro Football Network, who is on the road to Jets practice. What's up, Nick?
How you doing, Paul? Well, great time to be alive. Football is back finally.
Yeah, that's right. Well, a lot of Jet fans are a little concerned. So first off, what can you tell us? What is the latest with the Haason Reddick situation? He did not report with the rest of his teammates yesterday, as he was supposed to do, with all the players reporting yesterday with the first practice today. What is the latest there?
Yeah, so let's talk about on the Jet side first, because it really is two sides. First off, with New York, they traded for Haason Reddick knowing that they tried to offer him a contract before the trade was actually finalized. Haason Reddick declined it. The Jets seemed to come to an agreement with Reddick that he would play off the final year of his current deal, which is about $14 million overall, 20th most among edge rushers across the league itself. So that's the Jet side of things. Reddick, has not fulfilled his requirements. He has not gone by his word according to those with the Jets. And that's why they have said they're not negotiating with a player that is holding out of camp. But the reason why this is so intricate is because Reddick's side is not necessarily wrong. Haason Reddick, we have to remember, he has been upset with his role and contract for a very, very long time. This is not just a one-year thing. He has been upset for a very long time. When he was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in the first round, the Cardinals tried to use him as an off-ball linebacker, a middle linebacker of sorts, and that's not his game. His game is pure pass-rushing skill sets, and they didn't really catch on until the final year of his deal. So when that happened, they allowed him to go to Carolina on a prove-it deal. He has another 10-plus sack season. Carolina says, okay, great, you've had back-to-back 10-sack seasons, but we don't know how good you really can be, so we're going to let you walk in free agency. He goes to Philadelphia, clearly frustrated at his market not being where he wants to be. Remember, how many times have we seen pass rushers put up 10-plus sack seasons in back-to-back years and get mega deals? We've seen that all the time. Brian Burns has one 10-plus sack season, and he got a contract of over $100 million. And Burns, as great as he is, and he's a great player, he doesn't have the kind of sack total that Haason Reddick has over the last few years. So Reddick signs his deal with Philadelphia. It's 3 years, $45 million. And it's a severe underpay. It's considered a steal for the Eagles at the time in 2022. He puts up an all-pro season, 16 sacks. They're talking about him as a defensive player of the year candidate. He helps them get to the Super Bowl, is a big reason why they got to the Super Bowl in the first place. And now he's underpaid. He sits out of minicamp going into 2023. So he has been angry and frustrated over the lack of I would say, respect that's been given to him overall. Temple guy has been able to sort of build his life up from the ground up, completely dominant player, but he has not been paid his worth. In this offseason, it's really come to a head because the Jets, they offered him a deal. And the one thing I'll say, Connor Hughes was the first one to report this. He reported that the Jets offered Reddick a deal that was worth more than his current salary at $14 million. Well, what is more? Is more Bryce Huff numbers? Is it more Jonathan Grenard numbers? Think about that, because Grenard makes about 19 million. Bryce Huff makes about 17 million. Reddick wants something north of 25. And again, when you consider the fact that of all the top pass rushers, only he and Myles Garrett have recorded 10 plus sacks in each of the last 4 seasons, that's incredible consistency on some defenses that weren't really that good. So the consistent side of Haason Reddick has always been there. So he's not looking for something in the $20 million range. He's looking for something to make him one of the highest paid defensive players in the National Football League. And we can argue about if the Jets should pay it or not, but he is clearly worth that money. And that's the impasse we're at right now. It's a game of chicken between Reddick and the Jets, and whoever blinks first is going to come away with the short end of the stick on this deal. I'm of the opinion, and I've said this before, I'm of the opinion that even with him sitting out of camp, even with him sitting out in the initial parts of practice, it's not going to be that big of a concern, because his game is fully predicated on rushing the quarterback. You know, as long as he gets sacks and gets pressures, the Jets are going to be perfectly fine with this acquisition. But ultimately, I think they're going to eventually come to a deal. The only question is when. If he shows up as a sit-in, he doesn't participate in practices, but he shows up to camp and tries to renegotiate that deal, I think we could see this move pretty quickly overall.
Yeah, and I appreciate the context on both sides, because I feel like that's important. Again, Nick Faria here of Athlon Sports and the Pro Football Network. But to that last point that you just made, are you surprised that Reddick just is not showing up? Because he is getting fined $50,000 a day. That's non-waivable. So even if he shows up in a week, 2 weeks or something, the Jets can't give that money back. It's written into the CBA that way. Why wouldn't he do what everyone else is doing? Jordan Love, Brandon Ayuk, it sounds like he's about to do it, where it's a hold in. Jordan Love is showing up, doing all the meetings and everything, but he's not playing it down. He's not playing a game until he gets his deal. And the Packers are like, okay, cool. He's in camp doing everything that he can, but he's not going to appear on the field. And that would seemingly acquiesce the Jets, who said they don't want to negotiate with someone who's not here. So it sounds like they would have been even open to the hold-in situation as opposed to the holdout. So I ask you just straight up, when the news breaks, like I said, shortly after we get off the air yesterday morning, that he's just not showing up until he gets his deal, did that surprise you?
It did. And honestly, and I'll be honest, I thought it did originally, but once you sit and think about it, you realize, no, this makes sense. Because, again, like I said, this is a player who has been disrespected for it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years, we're going on 5 or 6, to be quite frank. He has been disrespected, misused by plenty of different teams. I think what it really is this just came to a head for him, where I'm sick and tired of trying to negotiate in good faith with these organizations. You remember last year he sat out a minicamp with Philadelphia, but he showed up to training camp. He wasn't involved with everything, but he did exactly as you said. He was sort of a sit-in. It was, he showed up, don't practice a lot, but he's still there and willing to help the team out. But he has tried to negotiate in good faith with a lot of different teams, and those teams have taken advantage of him. And I don't think it's wrong to say that. The teams aren't wrong to think that way as well. They're looking for ways to save up on salary cap space. And, the Jets aren't wrong to say, hey, we're not going to pay you $25 million. We only have $6 million in salary cap space. We're not willing to pay you that much. They're not wrong for saying that. But Reddick also isn't wrong for saying, you know what, fine. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm not coming until I get a fair deal. And that's where we're at right now. I think there's going to come a point where the fines add up. As they usually do with players like Reddick, the fines add up and they just decide to show up and try to get as much money as they can on a deal. That's probably where this is going right now. Get a guaranteed lump sum for this year and become a free agent in 2025. But again, it all comes down to how long can Reddick hold out. Le'Veon Bell held out for an entire season. He was still able to get his money, as Jet fans know and are haunted by it. Is Reddick going to be able to do the same thing that Le'Veon Bell did? Probably not, because as great as he is as a player, teams will look at the Le'Veon Bell situation and say, we don't want to touch that. He's not going to be good enough. He's going to need a very long time to ramp up, so we're not willing to spend. So Haason Reddick is doing what he should do. He is using the last bit of leverage that he has. That leverage runs out the minute the checkbook starts showing, hey, we need some cash. So once, leverage only goes for as long as you possibly can. And right now the Jets have a comfortable amount of leverage. Reddick is using up that leverage. We'll see how long he can go before it runs out.
And boy, the way that you described that, of that Reddick feels pissed off, basically, and disrespected, and things of that nature. Boy, the Jets are dealing with a lot of past trauma that they have nothing to do with, but that's what they acquired from the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles laughing somewhere like, suckers, look what they're dealing with? Or is this just a situation that this is basically what the Jets, when they made this trade, even though, again, a lot of the trauma which you're referencing is the Eagles or other teams disrespecting them, not necessarily the Jets, has only been here a couple of months.
No, yeah, and I get that part. But with Philadelphia, I think we're looking at the Jets and the Eagles, and we're trying to pin them together and saying, oh, well, the Eagles brought in Bryce Huff. Why can't Reddick, do the exact same thing? Why can't Reddick take a pay cut like Aaron Rodgers did? But there's different situations here. Philadelphia has everyone on their roster paid up until 2028, 2029. Everyone's locked up to long-term extensions. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, all their top guys are locked up already with major contracts. They still have $25 million, but they want to have that money roll over into the next season. The Jets are in a situation where they are not paying everyone. They have to pay Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall. All those top guys on this roster. Philadelphia has them already paid, so they're looking to save money at different positions. And what they did was they said, okay, we're not going to make Reddick a $25 million player, but we're going to pay a guy, Haason Reddick, money in terms of Bryce Huff, and hope he becomes what Reddick is on the field. That's what Philadelphia's mindset is, because, again, the allocation of funds show that Philadelphia is a little bit ahead of the Jets in that everyone's paid for. The Jets don't have people paid, and so that's why it allows them to go all in with a Haason Reddick move. They didn't have the ability to pay Bryce Huff a long-term extension. But do they have the money to make Haason Reddick a 1 to 2 year deal and go all in for a championship? Yes, and that's exactly what they did. So Philadelphia and the Jets, they're in different situations, and I think Philadelphia used that to their advantage. They understood that they were never going to pay Haason Reddick. They're not going to pay Josh Sweat because they don't need to. They have a young core of defensive linemen waiting in the wing. The Jets don't have that luxury. They have to spend money. They have to be able to pay and extend a lot of these guys when their contracts come up after next year, and it's going to leave Haason Reddick open in free agency once again. So it's different circumstances overall that plays into this reason. I know Philadelphia is very, very happy that Bryce is there and participating, and there's no real major distraction like this. But ultimately, this is what the Jets wanted to do. They wanted to go all in. They demanded they go all in for this season. And Haason Reddick is more of an all-in move than Bryce Huff is. And objectively speaking, that's a fact. As good as Bryce Huff is, teams are hoping he becomes Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick is who he is right now.
Yes, and I couldn't agree more. I pushed that yesterday in our 3 o'clock show with Woody, that for people that say, see, they should have stuck with Bryce Huff and JFM, I'm like, I totally disagree. Haason Reddick is an unbelievable player. He's the better of all those players, and it's not particularly close. The Jets are trying to win a Super Bowl. Again, we're speaking to Nick Faria here on the show. Let me ask you this blunt question, because fans are asking it themselves. How worried should they be right now?
No, I would say worry about a 1 out of 10, a 2.
Okay, very low.
Because and here's why. And people will say, well, Nick's always the guy that thinks, glass half full, that kind of thing. I get that. But no, I truly believe they are going to get this done. And Quinnen Williams yesterday kind of spoke on it, where he goes, listen, he's going to have to learn some things, but he's a fast learner. He's done this before. Defensive line is seek and destroy. He's going to be able to fit right in the minute he walks into camp. I'm not worried. So if we're going to take that on Quinnen Williams' value, then Jets fans should not be worried, because eventually they'll come to a deal on a long-term extension or a Band-Aid extension overall, and then he'll be able to report to practice and be ready for the start of the season. He understands at 29 years old, he's looking for one last payday, one major payday to be able to make him one of the highest paid defensive players in the National Football League. And ultimately, it may not happen right away. It may not happen this week, but he is going to get the money he has been owed for the last 5 years. And this is just a matter of when and not if. I don't think he's going to sit out any type of games this season because he can't afford to. If he sits out 1 or 2 games and he has a ramp-up period and you only get to like 7-8 sacks because of it, he's going to miss out on millions of dollars on the open market the very next year.
Yeah, I think you're right. But with that being said, what do you believe is the timeline here? Because, the first practice is today. We'll get to that in just a little bit here. So we have the first practice today, and then, what are we talking about? A little less than, it's like a month and a half, excuse me, until we get to, obviously, the first regular season game, which will be Monday Night Football. What is the timeline here for a Reddick Jets potential extension or solution, rather?
So again, they're at an impasse right now, and that's the Jets refuse to negotiate with him until he shows up. Reddick doesn't want to show up without a new deal. So I think it's going to be at least a week before conversations are brought back up because, again, pride is an interesting thing, and certainly there could be a situation where Reddick and the Jets are just pissed off. They need a couple of days to have a breather, move past this and move on. And again, as I say this is my prediction. This could totally flip, and he could show up today, and they negotiate a deal within the next couple of days. We don't know because there's so many moving parts here in terms of what the Jets need to do in order to extend Reddick to the kind of deal he wants. Like I said, they need to free up close to $20 million in cap space. They can do it. They have to restructure Quincy Williams, and potentially extend DJ Reed as well. But unless they do that, they don't have the money to pay Haason Reddick. So there's a lot of moving parts here that have to happen before Reddick even agrees to a long-term extension. But again, it could happen in a week. It could happen in 2 weeks. I would just caution everyone not to be overly dramatic about the situation because this happens all the time. Look at the Dallas Cowboys right now. The Dallas Cowboys have a homegrown player in CeeDee Lamb, and he has held out of training camp. And we can argue about the differences between Haason Reddick and CeeDee Lamb's case, but CeeDee Lamb was a draft pick by the Cowboys, and they don't have the cap space to sign him to a long-term deal. They have to get Dak Prescott locked up before anything happens on that end, and they simply refuse to do that to this point. The Jets just need a little bit of a push from Haason Reddick's camp. It will, again, like I said, it's going to eventually happen. It's just a matter of when and not if.
And interesting, the one thing I was just double checking is CeeDee Lamb and Haason Reddick, I do believe, have the same agent, which is fascinating, which is, I believe, Tory Dandy. I see it here, and that is official, from CAA Football. I want to confirm on Spot Track. They have the same agent, which is interesting, so the same play here. Last Reddick question, and then we could get to the rest of Jets training camp here. In your mind, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, when does Reddick have to show up? Because as you've mentioned in the past, Saleh seems to be a big ramp-up guy. That when a guy gets there, whether it's an injury situation or a holdout situation like this or anything, he likes players to be not just thrown into the deep end of the pool, that it takes some time to get them in their process that they do so players are ready to go. And the season is obviously the thing that matters, not really preseason things for Reddick. How much time does Reddick need, or what's the date that Reddick has to be in by where he can fully be ready before the season and there's nothing to worry about, to your point, of somewhat being compromised? Or Darrelle Revis, the last holdout we saw back in 2010, he showed up basically the week of the first game of the season, and it took him a little bit of time to get ready and get in playing shape and things of that nature.
I think it's a week before. I think it really is that because very similar to kind of Dwayne Brown. When you're a veteran in the NFL, you know how to keep your body prepared for the regular season. And Reddick has done this before. He doesn't need someone telling him, okay, today you can do sprints, today you can do these drills. That's not going to be the case. Like, he knows what he's doing. I know he's been working out near his home. So ultimately, I think it'll be relatively quick of a ramp-up period. The Jets will look at him and say, okay, we may not play you 80% of the snaps, but we're going to get you in on a few plays here and there on third down in week one to sort of ramp you up into what we want to do on defense before we throw you into the deep end of the pool. Like you said, Saleh is not one to just throw someone out there and say, okay, go out and figure it out. But when you have a pass rusher like this, that's kind of what they do. It's literally just, okay, we have some different schemes. We have some different twists and stunts we want to do with you. But ultimately, rush the quarterback, dude. Beat the right tackle and get after the quarterback. That's the goal. And when it comes to the 49ers, Haason Reddick has a very deep understanding of what the 49ers want to do offensively, and he has made them miserable over the last few years. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. I think all he needs is a week of a ramp-up period to be ready for week one, which is why I say right now, yes, him not being in camp is not a good thing. You want everyone to be here because it limits the distraction. But it's not like it's the end of the world overall.
Fair enough. Again, the full story here from Nick Faria, our Jets reporter, who's literally heading to Jets practice right now for the first training camp that we have going on. With that being said, we will see Aaron Rodgers today. For the first time really in full flower since going all the way back probably to the build up to week one, because even when he was practicing with the team at the back end of last year, that was a lot of scout team stuff. So what are you expecting from Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be 100% full go? We kind of it's funny. We're talking about ramp ups. Is there any of that for Rodgers? Is he just a full go, full reps for Rodgers today and moving forward, do you believe?
I think the best way to describe the situation is Rodgers is a caged animal and wants to be let free to play. I think that's where we're at right now, because I don't think there's going to be any ramp-up period for him unless there's an undisclosed injury we haven't heard about. We're going to hear from Saleh in a few hours. But unless there's any side issue, he's full go. He's 100%. There's absolutely no concern. And like I said this earlier yesterday, the Jets' offensive line is in a different situation overall because all 5 projected starters are going to be on the field with Rodgers to start training camp. That didn't happen until a week before the regular season started last season. So the Jets' offense is going to look a lot different this year than it has in camp. I don't think there's going to be cases where Rodgers is on his butt in practice because the pressure got to him and he tripped on a player, which has happened before. Particularly last season. So I think it's going to be Rodgers looking to sling it as early and often as possible. I think we could see some fireworks pretty early in training camp.
Uncaged animal slinging it. Those words are making me have special feelings inside that I probably shouldn't be talking about on a daily video show, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose. Nick, what is on your itinerary? What's on your list, your notebook here, as you're like, you know what? These are the things that I'm looking ahead. Sometimes things just surprise you and you go, whoa, look what happened. But what are things that are on your list that you're looking forward to at training camp today? A storyline, a player to watch? What's on your itinerary?
Well, the top 2 have to be, like I said, the offensive line coming together, building that chemistry, and also Will McDonald. With Haason Reddick out, there's a big question mark on the defensive line. And if Will McDonald is able to produce at a high level in practices, that is going to severely impact how concerned the Jets are that the All-Pro is not in attendance. So McDonald's going to have a big training camp. I think he's going to have an excellent season, particularly because of the fact that the Jets continue to use their defensive line in waves. McDonald could excel in that kind of defense. So he's another player I want to watch out for. And the other guy has to be Allen Lazard. What is the number 2 receiver situation without Mike Williams? Because we can talk about how really solid Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gibson have looked, and they've looked very, very good to this point of the offseason. But Lazard is making close to $9 million a year, $11 million a year based on his contract with the Jets. And he has an out after this year, so he can become a free agent going into the 2025 season. So if I look at Lazard, he struggled with drops and he struggles with separation. If he's able to produce at a high level, or at least just a better level than we have seen from him in the last year and a half, I think there's a good chance that the Jets try to give him another shot for the second receiver slot. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets continue to try and shop him, try to trade him. Because he'll save up $9 million if you add in a couple of draft picks to that conversation. And you never know how many injuries plague different teams. I mean, you look, a receiver goes down and teams are going to be in the market for one throughout this point. So injuries happen all the time. Could a potential injury open the door for Allen Lazard to leave the Jets in a trade? That's a question that has not been answered, but certainly would be if he produces at a high level, because the Jets don't want to just get rid of him because he knows the Aaron Rodgers offense and they consider him a very good leader in that group.
Interesting. All right. Also, reveal this. Okay. So again, you mentioned you guys will be speaking with Salah here in a couple of hours. You guys have not spoken to Salah in full flower for it's been a month and change plus, and there's been a lot that's happened over that time. What's on your docket? What do you want to ask Robert Salah when you get the opportunity later this morning?
Well, I don't know if it's Robert Saleh specifically, but I feel like, and again, I think Saleh's walking in to a disadvantageous situation because he is not the one negotiating with Haason Reddick,
Right.
and the conversation must be about Haason Reddick because he's the one guy not showing up, and this is strictly a contractual reason. He wants his money. The Jets are unwilling right now to give him that money. To me, the fairness would be, hey, Joe Douglas, if Joe Douglas was speaking, now we got something cooking because, hey, why did you make this trade without coming to an agreement beforehand? Was there an agreement with Reddick before this happened? How much did the John Franklin Myers trade change Reddick's thought process overall? Those kind of questions. With Salah, I think it's more of just, okay, which players are healthy, which players are not? Is there any major changes to the practice schedule overall the next week? Because, again, at the start of training camp, there's not much he can answer overall. And he's not the guy to ask these questions about with Haason Reddick. He's going to get them. He's going to get those questions. But, again, he's kind of in a difficult situation because he's not the guy that can sign these kind of deals. He's the guy that's trying to get his team prepared, and this is really the first day for him to do so.
Yeah, well, you're right that once again Salah will be pushed out there, and unless there's a surprise Joe Douglas appearance, I don't even know when is the next time Joe Douglas is set to speak. I know he does it around the trade deadline. Is that the next one, or you guys have a chance before that?
Yeah, I believe, again, this is conversations I've had with other reporters that have been there a lot longer than I have.
Yeah,
I believe he talks like a week or two before the start of the regular season. So right
okay,
around cut day, he comes out and they have that conversation
right.
overall.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? But as they're doing final roster cuts and making decisions, I remember some of those chats. So we'll see what happens there. But again, exciting times in a lot of respects because today's the first practice and feels like the real start. Every team today, for those who don't know, will already have had their practice or will today, and all 32 teams will fully be in session by the end of business day today. So football is back, Nick. Which is incredibly exciting, man.
Uh, Listen, this is the best time of year. This is the best time of year. I've never been one to talk about, summer. Summer has never been my favorite season. It's too hot. My thought process is I love the winter because you can always add on layers. You can't take off your skin when it's 110 degrees out. You're just burning at the stake. So, to me, when it comes to football, when it comes to training camp, these are sort of the days where everyone gets excited, but also just a little frustrated because our first real talk of and conversations about the 2024 season, the season's still a month away, over a month away, but we have just a little inkling. This is sort of like just a little tease of what the season will become. So, yes, very exciting time. Ultimately, is it enough to quell people's thirst for the game? No, but this is certainly the first step.
Well, Nick, I want to thank you. I know you're busy and running over to Jets practice and all these other things, but I can see from all our commenters and listeners and viewers that they really dug this inside dip the toe. Enjoy practice, man, and we'll be checking back in with you next week, pal.
Appreciate it.
All right, there he is, Nick Faria, who looks like he was just getting to Jets practice as it was. Again, shout out to Nick Faria, who again joins us every Wednesday here on the channel to talk all things New York Jets, to give us that inside perspective. He is heading there right now to Jets training camp practice. By the way, Robert Saleh set to speak around 11:50 is scheduled on YouTube is when he is supposed to be speaking. That will be live streamed. So thank you so much to Nick for giving us some of those insights. First off, we will open up the phone lines in just a little bit. And shout out, in case you missed it yesterday, we reached 100 members on the Boy Green Coffee Club yesterday, which was quite a milestone. It happened during Boy Green Meets Woody, and it was spectacular. I'm trying to see if the official numbers have been updated on YouTube yet as we've seen it here. Let me see if that number is updated yet. It is still not. So it's still loading up on YouTube. But yes, I do believe we reached the triple-digit mark for members, which, by the way, at any time you guys can join to the 300 people in the room. First off, free way to do it is like the video, hit subscribe. But if you want to go to the next step, you, of course, can join the Boy Green Coffee Club. And there's a lot of reasons you should want to do that because, of course, you could paint the chat green. You get unlocking of all kinds of wonderful emojis that Snowball has created, which is great. And a brand new thing is this. We have a Boy Green Coffee Club Discord that exclusive for Boy Green Coffee Club members. If you guys want to be in the Discord, you have to join the membership group, which is the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. So, guys, if you are a member right now of the Boy Green Coffee Club, go over to our YouTube community section. There's a post right now that only you can see. Normal people can't see. Only members of the Boy Green Coffee Club on YouTube can see. You can click that link and join the Discord, and the instructions are there on how you can sync up your YouTube, so we can say, oh, it's Darren from YouTube. Oh, it's Brandon from YouTube, or what have you. So, guys, you can do that. That is in the YouTube community section. And if you are just new joining the Boy Green Coffee Club, as of today or in the future, that is now an option for you to join the Discord as soon as you become a member. Shout out to Jared B for being our moderator. It's going to continue to grow. We officially opened the doors yesterday, and there is more to come. A great Jets community for all of us to hang out and, really just enjoy each other. So, guys, make sure you do that again. That is the Discord. So taking this to another level, and by the way, it is no additional charge. That is all included in the Boy Green Coffee Club. We have one membership level. It's $2.99. It's a cup of coffee a month. That includes the emojis, the Discord, the shout-outs, the green. All of it is all included in that $2.99. So the best value in sports, baby. But before we go any further, open up phone lines and some of that stuff. I did want to get to this because someone asked me this the other day. And to be honest, once practice starts, there's just going to be so many live bullets flying of things to react to in the now that if I don't get to this now, we're never going to get to this. Aaron Rodgers spoke about, broke his silence, quite frankly, on the reason that he missed minicamp. There was an explanation he gave on Pardon My Take. I'm going to throw up the video here, and then we can talk about it real quick and put a final bow, a final, final eulogy, perhaps, on this Egyptian thing with Aaron Rodgers, and a great troll job, as we saw yesterday, with the Egyptian cat shirt. Well done by Aaron Rodgers. But I do want to throw this on the screen so you guys can hear his reason. Again, this is from Pardon My Take. Aaron Rodgers was asked about the minicamp absence. Let's throw this up on the board, and let's.
The thing that I think people don't understand is that when I was in the NFC North and playing for that team, years ago, there used to be a real thing called minicamp, where it was you had one of them usually. Sometimes it was right after the draft, but either way, it was 5 practices in 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 2 practices on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Now it's not minicamp. They can arbitrarily put a tag on whatever week of OTAs they want to say this is the minicamp week, which makes it somehow more mandatory than the other weeks. But it was an OTA schedule. That's how it's, how words can be a little deceiving from time to time. You can make a story out of the fact that I missed a minicamp when it was really 2 OTA days.
Right. Interesting.
That came to the first 10.
Right. So this is a media thing.
There you go. That is Aaron Rodgers on Pardon My Take, again asked about the minicamp absence. And I say this is the final eulogy, but let's be honest, it's not. Aaron Rodgers has not spoken to the Jets media yet. He just did that media at Lake Tahoe at the golf event with Pardon My Take. He will have to step in front of the Jets media and answer it, and they're going to ask him a lot of questions that were not necessarily asked him over that Pardon My Take interview, which was interesting. They covered a lot of ground and a lot of different areas. But one of the questions that the media will ask, and we know what those questions are, is why did you schedule it for then? And why didn't you move it when you knew that it was interfering with minicamp? So he will have to answer those questions. He was not asked those questions on Pardon My Take. But I will say this. What Aaron Rodgers said is true. There no longer is a special 3-day minicamp where you're working on different stuff. All of it is the same. They're all OTAs, and to Rodgers' point, in his words, arbitrarily, the Jets pick some random days to be minicamp, but as Tyler Conklin confirmed yesterday, they're no different than any of the other practices. It's the same material. Now, a fair counterpoint to the people that are not happy with Rodgers, including my father, is if that's true, why didn't the Jets, if it's arbitrary, what days are minicamp and what days aren't, because you're not doing any different material, then the Jets, realizing when Rodgers was gone, should have simply just moved the minicamp tag to a different day. Like when they posted it to the world, hey guys, our mandatory minicamps on June 11th through the 13th. A couple weeks later, even though Rodgers had told them well ahead of time, that he just goes, oh, I mean, it's on May 3rd or whatever the date is. That's an over-exaggeration, but like late May instead. And all of us would have been like, oh, that's weird. No biggie. And then he would have been gone. So the Jets, long story short, I think Rodgers is right that the Jets arbitrarily pick random days because it doesn't matter anymore. All of them are OTAs, or all the same material. But you could also say from the other side, the Jets probably should have just kicked those days to another period of time, and then we're not talking about it as much. Because technically speaking, in the voluntary portion of the offseason, you're not allowed to keep attendance. So the only attendance that could have been kept is if the media was there and they did their own attendance. Because of the NFLPA, you don't want to, if someone doesn't show up to the voluntary, you don't want to take attendance and then allow fans and teams and everything to go, Johnny didn't show up, because it's technically voluntary. So you can't put pressure on Johnny to show up when it's voluntary. That's, messing around with all the rules and things of that nature. So anywho, long story short, that's my final bow, I hope. But I know actually it won't be, because like I said, Aaron Rodgers will be asked questions naturally coming up when he speaks to the media, which let me double check the New York Jets YouTube channel to see if we know when that is. We know when Salah's speaking. He'll be speaking the next couple of days. Let me double check their live section here. That should give us an insight. No, we only know the Robert Saleh days and some of the training camp lives with Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, Caroline Hendershot, and things of that nature. Yeah, Saleh's supposed to speak today at 11:50 a.m. He'll speak tomorrow at 12:05. He'll speak the day after that at 12:20, and then he will speak the day after that at 12:20. So we got like Saleh for 4 or 5 straight days. So we will get, I'm sure, a lot of Haason Reddick questions and other things of that nature. So Saleh's set to speak at a minimum for the next 4 days, according to the New York Jets YouTube channel, where all the Robert Saleh shows are live streamed. Also, you guys can check this out. We won't get to this today, but you can check it in the video section on my YouTube channel. I called into the Rich Eisen show yesterday and played the win-loss game, baby. And we go through the entire schedule, and I provide some commentary on each game. That was a lot of fun. We'll play that on the show. Like I said, we'll do that a different day instead of today. But you guys can watch that full thing. It's also on my social media. You guys can check it out on my Instagram, @BoyGreen25, or my Twitter, @BoyGreen25. It was a lot of fun to finally do that on the Rich Eisen show. Which was cool. All right, let's jump on over to the phone lines. And like I said, like the video, hit subscribe. We got 300 people in the room right now. It's phenomenal. And you guys can call in and share. Are you worried about this Haason Reddick thing? Nick Faria said he shouldn't be. He said there's plenty of time. It's not ideal. He's not rooting for players to hold out, but he did say that you guys shouldn't be worried about it. I'm curious if you guys agree with the same thing. Feel free. That is the pinned comment on YouTube. All right, I see Matthias real quick. He says this in here. I don't know how to do anything other than YouTube. Discord, membership giving, still can't figure any of it out. Well, what I'll try to do is this real quick. All right, 1 second. Let me, before we go down any rabbit hole or anything of that nature, 1 second here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit easier for all of you, because I'm a giver. I'm absolutely a giver. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So, let me copy this. Okay, I'm going to drop it in the chat. Okay, here we go. Okay, I just dropped in a join the channel link. So if any of you are watching on your phone or desktop or anything, I just dropped it in. You guys can scroll and see it. It's in there right now. If you're not a member of the Boy Green channel, you should be able to click that link and join right now. And if you do, we'll be clicking or playing a lot of draft chimes, baby, for people just joining in. And I will try to do that, of putting it in there so you guys can click it, make it a pinned comment in the middle of the show before we get to the call-in line. So go ahead. You guys can click that and join right now. Make it as easy as possible, and there you are. All right, let's jump over to the phone lines while you guys are grabbing that and going crazy. It's been a while. We weren't sure if this guy was dead or something, but he seems to be breathing. among the living, NY Jets FL, a.k.a. Ted. Where have you been, man?
Making some career changes, Paul.
Oh, I see.
Heavily
Okay.
involved in that.
I respect that.
Yeah. A lot going on. Personal wise, everything's good though. There wasn't a lot really to talk about. So,
That's true.
we were kind of in the dog days of the NFL season. It's how many more things can we rehash? But the Reddick thing got me interested with what Nick Faria said about criminally underpaid. Either the teams didn't value him or his representation was inadequate. Those are the two things I can think of, because if you're not paid at anywhere near the market value, then there's an issue on maybe in that respect, right? You can't say to the Jets now, "Hey, I want to almost double my salary because I've been criminally underpaid." No. That just doesn't work. Like, Paul, if you jump to ESPN National and you
Yep.
get a TV show, right?
Yep.
Maybe you get a huge pay increase, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those are like few and far between, right? So you can't take a guy's salary from 14 million to 25. It's just unless you're coming off a rookie contract, and he's not. He's 29. So I mean, I just don't understand the logic of saying he's criminally underpaid. He might be, but he should have been paid more over the last few years in order to keep his value up. That's just my thought on that one.
And also, there wasn't a gun to his head to sign that deal. He signed it.
Right.
The Eagles, in this case, are the team that offered this 3-year deal for $45 billion. And Haason Reddick signed it. And I'm trying to look back because I was pretty sure, just because the market has changed, I'm pretty sure Haason Reddick, when he signed the deal, was among the highest paid pass rushers in football at that time when he signed it. Now, it looks smaller now because things have changed. That's the thing I was looking to go. But I do see her here. This is the original article from Kevin Patra of NFL.com. This is early March. So Haason Reddick was one of the first free agent additions of the 2022 class. And Kevin Patra said that Haason Reddick, at the time, he was 27, was the first big-name edge rusher to agree to a deal. So Haason Reddick set the market back in 2022, and then the market changed. So I don't get it, the whining. And also, here's the other thing. He's not a free agent. I'm sorry. You're under contract for a year. It'd be one thing if you're a free agent, then get your money, make teams bid against each other, and do this other thing. He's under contract.
Exactly. I mean, I understand, maybe you want to sweeten the pot a little, but we're not going to be bent over and, and say, "Hey, man, you're giving us 25 million. I'm not showing up." Brandon Ayuk showed up. I know CD didn't show up, and I know he's on a rookie deal, but I don't see why Reddick couldn't show up and just make his presence known. What's the difference, really? It's good. It would be a good gesture.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Maybe
and you wouldn't be
CeeDee Lamb
fined
is different.
$50,000 a day. I know to some that is chump change, but that is a non-waivable $50,000 a day he's giving up. If he just shows up and crosses his arms and says, "I'm not practicing," they can't fine him for the $50,000, and then they can negotiate. Because apparently, what the Jets have said to every beat reporter in the world that has shared this yesterday is they refuse to negotiate with Reddick unless he's there. They're not going to do this. "Hey, we're here. You're at your house or wherever you are. We're going to negotiate with you."
Exactly.
They said they're only going to do it if he shows up. So that's either a very strong bluff or nothing. To Nick's point, nothing's going to happen for the next week until emotions cool.
Right. Hey, Paul, are there any circumstances where I haven't really looked too much, but where a player has gotten a huge salary jump by just not off his rookie deal? I mean, other than a quarterback. I mean, the guy's 29.
Yeah.
He's not 25 on the second or third, second contract. That I can see. Is there any guy who's 30 who's gotten a huge deal, huge increase? I mean, I could see a 2-year deal, not in a trade though. I could see the free agent market being hotter. But this, like you said, this is a trade. It's just he doesn't have a strong position. Nick sounds like he's got a strong position, but I don't think he does.
I don't think
really
so
don't,
either.
Paul.
Yeah, and two things here. First off, everyone keeps bringing up the Danielle Hunter contract that he signed this offseason, which, by the way, for those who don't know, he went to Houston. It's a 2-year deal for $49 million max value, $48 million guaranteed. So it's basically all guaranteed. But he is an unrestricted free agent. That is an unfair line in the sand to me to draw. If that's what Reddick's camp is saying, and that's what a lot of people on Twitter are saying his camp is saying, that makes no sense. I don't give a flying hoot what the Texans paid him. That makes no difference to me. Again, you're under contract. The Jets were willing to bump up his pay, but not to that level, which I find interesting. And here it is for Reddick. I mean, the leverage is what he's doing right now. But how far is he willing to push it? Is he willing to miss out on an entire season? And by the way, I still haven't gotten word on this yet from the capologist, but I do believe his contract holds and the Jets hold his rights. So unless he shows up, he's never going to become a free agent again. So again, the Jets hold the ultimate power. They can find him $50,000 a day. He's under contract. And if Reddick ever wants to play for anybody else, he's going to eventually have to show up. So I don't know. This just feels like at this point an early temper tantrum, and then eventually he's going to have to come to the table.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. That's about all I got, Paul. I'll be around. I've just been laying back a little bit and enjoying the show, as a regular commenter here and there. Just had a lot of personal stuff going on. So just trying to redo my later life in my 50s and figure out the things. So that's where I'm at.
Well, I appreciate it.
I'm alive, though.
Well,
I'm alive, though.
It's good to see. That's comforting. That is very comforting.
You.
Well, thank you,
thank
pal.
You, Paul.
And thanks for calling into the show. Beautiful. Yeah, and again, I know there's a lot of people. I deal with this a lot, and we're about to get to a membership announcement, baby. But I deal a lot with it on my radio show, that of the 100% of the pie of people that could possibly call into my radio show, the people that actually do are the minority. There are like, whatever it is, 10, 15 callers in the grand scheme of time that call into my radio show every day, all the time. And they're this. But there's a lot of people that just enjoy the show on the sidelines. They don't have to be participating. And hey, either way, it's fine with me. But it's good to see Ted, NY Jets FL, here on the channel. Thank you to, let's give a major shout out and get ready to play the chimes. MFC, mother_FN_chew, just gifted a membership, baby. Play those chimes. Big friggin' shout out to a new member of the Boy Green Coffee Club here on the channel. That is David Aran. And by the way, David, you now have access to our Discord channel that we just opened yesterday. So you should be able to see that in the YouTube community chat. That is a YouTube community channel that is only available for our members to see. You could join our Discord and all the other wonderful benefits of joining the Boy Green Coffee Club. So shout out to Mother Effin' Chew, baby. You friggin' love to see it. You friggin' love to see it. Thank you, MFC, for that on the channel, baby. And you guys can feel free to keep those coming with either, again, getting yourself a membership or gifting it to somebody else. Feel free to do so. That is terrific. All right, let me keep looking through the comments here. Phone lines are also open. That is the pinned comment on youtube.com/boygreen25. Also, we should be hearing from BMAC either today or tomorrow, because the hat should be in there. The Jets hat should be on the way, and then thankfully and hopefully we never have to see that Yankees hat for as long as we live. I think that's what we're all saying. So please, for the love of everything that's holy. I missed, oh, there it is. K-Brock has now joined the Discord. Again, he's a Boy Green Coffee Club member, so he has the opportunity to do so. But I believe we have another membership, baby. Let me scroll on down, and there it is. Let's go to Uncle Tio, baby. Play those chops. Oh, yeah, baby. Shout out to Uncle Tio, who, by the way, is also in our Discord. You love to see it. Chef Kevin Gilberts, who, by the way, called the show the other day. Chef, welcome to the friggin' Boy Green Coffee Club and the Discord that comes with it. We've been talking about it all show. Welcome, friend. Make it rain, baby. Memberships. Again, you could gift it for yourself. You deserve it, or gift it for others, which was great. Rick Kent on our Woody show yesterday gifted 5 memberships. Unbelievable, which we freaking love, baby. And thank you to T.O. and MFC for gifting memberships as well. That's awesome. Look at that. Chef is here. Love to see it. That's awesome. Hopefully no more BMAC hat. Yeah, no more BMAC Yankees hat. So a Jets hat should be on its way. Oh, yeah, there you go. Lit, thanks. Chef is in the chat. Appreciate you, pal. And I love seeing the green, because when you guys join the membership, your names come up green to me, which is terrific. So that's awesome. Tio has done a really good job, a.k.a. the 411 on New York Sports, again, every Friday night at 6 o'clock. He has done a really good job. I don't think he can control it unless he has superpowers. Like he gives the membership, and then the gods pick where the membership goes. But he is plucked some people that were like, ooh. You know what I mean? He's got the power. Very nice. Shout out to Tio for that. That's spectacular. That is awesome. Honored, BG. Thanks again to VR. You love to see it, baby. That is so cool. So awesome. Oh, wow. Chef paying it forward, baby. You love to see it. Oh, yeah, baby. Chef gets a membership, and he immediately hands one out. What a guy. Mr. Flowers with a Z. Welcome to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Way to go, Chef. Let's do it again. We're playing multiple sounds. I can't friggin' wait to be screaming that from the top of my lungs for September 19th, Thursday Night Football, Jets Patriots. I'm so fired up. The season, there's a first practice today. Woo-hoo-hoo. I am so freaking fired up, guys. This is going to be freaking awesome. Oh, boy. Like Aaron Rodgers slinging it all over the place, man. How can you not be excited about a time like this? Thank you, Chef, for paying it forward. That's a cool way to do it. That's what others have said, you know. If you get a membership, try to gift it out, or if you have the means to do so, or just enjoy the membership that's coming. That's friggin' awesome. Thank you, Chef, for paying that forward. That is awesome. Love it. And I love seeing it. When I'm looking through this chat, all I'm seeing is green. All I'm seeing is Boy Green Coffee Club members, baby. This community has done an awesome job of growing. And yes, as Brian says, smack the like button, damn it. Yeah, put some mustard on that sandwich. The fact that I'll also talk about this, going back to Reddick for a second. I will be honest, I was surprised. I know we weren't able to react to it live because I was in the car when I found out. Shout out to Jared B., who ended up texting me about it. But I was surprised they didn't show up. I'll be straight up. I thought he was going to – I thought there was a chance for a hold in. Remember, I called the Rich Eisen show last week, called Tommy P., Tom Pelissero, and he talked about the history of the agent. And normally he doesn't have a history of players holding out, but things are different this year because Torrey Dandy is also the agent for CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb ain't showing up to training camp. Haason Reddick ain't showing up to training camp. So it's, I guess it's new times. I'll get more into this Haason Reddick thing in just a second. I see this question here. How many members do we have now? On YouTube, I believe we're up to 102, but for whatever reason, YouTube hasn't updated for me. So when I try to check, how many members we have, it still says we have 92, but I don't think that's right. I'm pretty sure we're well into triple digits because I was about to add an emoji yesterday, and for whatever reason, the emoji could be added. So again, you can only add another emoji at 100 members. The next gap is 125 members. So I'm pretty sure at 100, despite what YouTube says. But good question. Dewey Nation, baby. And yes, an absolute massive shout out to 411 on New York Sports. Shout out to Jared B. for the Discord. He's the moderator on this chat. He keeps everything moving and grooving. And he is also the creator of our Discord, and he's running that. So, Jared, major shout out. And thank you for the YouTube super chat. Tia. Yeah, Jared is awesome. God's work, man. And I was calling him yesterday to talk about stuff. So cool. And there it is, Snowball with the emoji. That was the emoji. I said, oh, Snowball, can we get a fishing rod emoji? He's like, dude, it already exists. It's a fishing rod emoji. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. So I got to think of what the next one is. So we have one more emoji to unlock. So we got to think of whatever that is. Maybe I'll wait for BMAC to get his hat, and we could do the over BMAC thing, but with him in a Jets hat. Maybe we could turn that into an emoji. That could be a fun one. So we'll wait till BMAC gets his hat before we do that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see that. Yeah, Darren says, now that Paul learned how to use a phone, he might be dangerous. Yeah, I did to finally unlock calling into shows. So now I can call in all the time, which is nice. It's pretty freaking cool. There's no question about it. Yes. Oh, that could be. Terrence Hill says you might be losing some of the free monthly memberships, and that's probably why the numbers you're flexing. Oh, that could make sense of why the numbers are dropping. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. So, yeah, we'll see. But it does allow us one more emoji. Like I said, we'll have to see what that one ends up being there. But real quick, and then I'll get back to the phone lines here, is that the Haason Reddick thing surprised me. I thought he would show up. He did not. Now he's getting fined $50,000 a day. It sounds like, again, the Jets say they will not negotiate with Haason until he's there. So if he's not there, there's no conversations being had. And Haason Reddick wants the Jets to go to a different place that they have not gone to before in terms of the contractual numbers. Apparently, he wants 25 to 28 million per year. So, boy, oh boy, it's getting spicy. Let's keep an eye on this. Again, hopefully the Jets can resolve this quickly. The Jets wanted to acquire their offseason, and then surprise, mother, beep. There it is. I could add that one on too. That's a good one. All right, let's go to the phone lines, and we got our boy Brandon here on the show. What's up, Brandon?
Howdy. How are you doing
Good
this
to see
morning?
you, pal.
Good to see y'all. Good to see you. I wanted to say, first off, I was glad to see NY Jets FL call in today. And I was reading the chats, and I think a lot of other people were glad to see him. Before I ever started calling in, I watched for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I used to enjoy him calling and asking questions and all that good stuff. So
yeah, he's a fun guy. It's good to have him back. And again, the cool part of this community is like we're all like Brandon now. We have NY Jets FL. We have BMAC. We have all these guys who are like regulars. It's kind of like a weird community cult like thing. It's awesome. So yeah, like I said, when I saw him down there, because I could see people in the green room when they're calling in and they're waiting to be on. I'm like, holy crap! Look, he's back. So it's nice.
I knew when you kind of, before you pulled him up on screen, you were like, this guy, I didn't know if he was dead or what. I was like, yeah, I was literally thinking the other day, I was like, which I don't, a lot of times if I'm driving, I don't read the chats.
Sure, right, naturally.
So I was like, maybe he's been in the chats, but anyway, so the whole thing with Haason Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just put it this way. So I get that news right after your show yesterday.
Yeah, as did I, yeah.
Tuesday is always my longest day at work.
Oh, boy.
And then you try to drop a bomb on us and say you're not doing a Thursday show with Woody.
Yeah.
Like, they get worse. I mean, golly.
Yeah, I will tell you, it's funny. We had, for those who like enjoying the Boy Green Meets Woody show and you didn't hear, normally we were live every Tuesday, Thursday at 3 o'clock, and me and the guest were good to go, but Woody said he wasn't. I'm like, well, that would be an awkward threesome. Two of the three show up and we're like, whoa, what's going on here? We were promised something else here. So I said, Woody, what do you want to do? He's like, well, if you can we just take the Thursday off? I said, yeah, if that's what you want to do, sure. So no Thursday show. But like I said, hopefully we make up for it because I'll be on with Jake Asman on Friday at 3 o'clock. So that'll be a new extra show that's being joined in. That'll be on my channel and Jake's. So, but it won't feel the same, though, because, like, we've never missed a show. We were on July 4th. Like, we've never missed a show before. So this is going to break a streak. It's going to be quite sad.
Maybe it has something to do with him getting an emoji. Now he's getting a big...
Yeah, big time. You're right. I think you're onto something.
But so I watched, we were talking about Haason Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those where it's like, I feel good going into the season, and I feel good about our team and our depth. I feel good about Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. I watched the Origins on Jermaine Johnson.
Great show. Great show.
Yes, it is. I was going to ask you, is that going to be like a weekly thing, or is it just a
random? I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I know that several of them are coming out. I thought at first they were all coming out at the same time, and I'm like, oh, great. And then they said, ooh, Jermaine Johnson on this date. I'm like, oh, they're really spacing these out. So, I don't have the schedule. I'll see if I can find it while we're doing the show live here. But, I believe they're going to be dropped over the coming period of time. because I know they've got one on Jeremy Ruckert. They've got a Quincy Williams one. Yeah, let me see. Ooh, this might tell us here the Origins docuseries. Let's see. Debuts on July 21st. Okay. Yeah. I don't have. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well, careful, coach. I don't know the exact schedule, but they will be coming out in, basically once a week, it looks like, somewhere in that range.
Sweet. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed his. And, it's one of those where it's like, it's just a Jets thing. I love being a Jets fan, but it's like, we go into the season looking so good. I mean, everywhere on paper.
Sure.
And then it's just like, it's like these little minor inconveniences. Like, well, because in the back of my head, I'm like, I really hope he does show up. And then it's like, he did not show up for camp. And I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. It's little things. And I think we'll get a deal done. And it's one of those, the difference with Revis and him, besides the fact that Revis is the best player to play on the Jets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Revis had been with the team prior. So when we did get his contract set up, it's not like we had just signed him. He'd never played for the Jets before. He'd never been in our scheme before.
Right.
He had to do all that. Not saying Haason can't, but that's just another kind of frustrating thing. Is I'm kind of like Nick. I think we'll get him signed like the week before the season starts. So that's kind of frustrating. But overall, we'll be fine. It's just those little things that always happens. But when you're a Jets fan, you're used to it. You're used to the worst case scenario. And there's one more thing I was going to ask you. I know the other night when you were on with Little Connor.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
Y'all were talking about the top 100.
Yes.
So was that just the list, or have they released that show? I know they usually put out the show sometime around this, either in July. I was thinking maybe it's August, where they do the top 100 players.
It is around this time, and a new thing that it used to be an NFL Network show, which I used to really enjoy, but now kind of like, there's the Boy Green Coffee Club. You're like, oh boy, I got to get in that to do it. There's an NFL Plus, which I believe is where you have to watch the show now. So I don't have NFL Plus, so I can't see the show, but I do believe it's coming around this time, and they are slowly dropping it. So I think another 10 dropped yesterday, 10 or 15, something like that, because Garrett Wilson was revealed, Aaron Rodgers been revealed, Haason Reddick's been revealed. So they've been dropping it slowly but surely. So like yesterday, I saw another, like I said, whatever it was, 10, 15, 20, another players were dropped, but they're also slowly revealing that.
I got you. Yeah, I'll definitely be looking forward to that. I agreed with you on the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. I don't think he should have made the list.
I'm a Jets guy, but it doesn't make any sense.
I don't. It's like, if you don't play, and then it's like they're always shitting on him, it's like, why is he ranked? But anyway, that's a story for another day. But hopefully tomorrow, B-Mac will call in with his new hat. I'm hoping. All you need to do is just base your show on Aaron Rodgers sucking, and he'll call in. He'll
that's for sure. That'll be like the bat signal. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Exactly. Well, Bud, I appreciate you for letting me come on and talk today, and let's go Jets.
All right, there we go. Let's give it to him for Brandon on the way out. Let's give him a JT. Awesome, baby. Great call by Brandon. And it's true. There's never a quiet day doing this coverage of the New York Jets and being a fan. Shout out to David. I appreciate you. Paul, enjoyed your appearance on the Rich Eisen Show, giving your win-loss record for the New York Jets. Like I said, if you guys missed that, that is in my video section on YouTube. It's also on Instagram and Twitter, so you guys can check that out. There's a lot of fun. We will eventually play it on the show. We'll see when there's a quiet time. I'm sure I'll let my dad react to that on Saturday, but we'll play it over the next couple of days. One of these days where we have a window to kind of plug it in and talk about it, we will. But I appreciate that, David. Yeah, Rich Eisen Show is one of my favorite shows, so I'm a huge fan of the show. I normally get to consume it on YouTube only because I'm on the radio, then he immediately comes on the moment I come off. But especially with all the Jets things happening too, I'll have to balance a lot of different balls there for that. But I do enjoy the show, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed that appearance. That was a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do it, but I wanted to make sure I did the win-loss game when Rich was on. Like, Rich isn't on the show today. His wife is in because Rich Eisen is doing endoscopy. I butchered that word for sure. But apparently he's 55, and I guess that's, they got to go inside the body and check up on the, do an oil change, so to speak, check your fluids. That's pretty a little too vivid or specific. But yeah, he's doing like an endoscopy or something. I'm definitely butchering that word, but that apparently is what he's doing. So he's off today. And all of last week, Tom Pelissero was in. So I wanted to make sure whenever I did the win-loss game, Rich Eisen's a Jets fan. I thought he would vibe with whatever I was saying. So I wanted to hold out the win-loss game till then. And plus, again, we need some positive vibes right now with this Reddick thing. It's a Debbie Downer. And talk about first impressions, not great for Jet fans with that coming as well. For the first thing to happen is Haason Reddick holding out. Not exactly ideal for introduction circumstances, but it's phenomenal. And yeah, Rich Eisen doing Sports Center, man. He's had a long history. Redding, California is where he was doing TV before Sports Center stuff, which is really cool. So Rich Eisen story. I actually there's a pile of books back here. One of the books in this pile is a Rich Eisen book I never even knew he wrote, about NFL Total Access. So I'm looking forward at some point when I have time to reading that one. I'm still going through all my fantasy football magazines. But to the 400 people live in the room, and I know there's a ton of people that watch it religiously after the fact because of hours difference. I know someone from Ireland reached out a couple months ago and told me they can never see it live because of the time zone difference. But I appreciate you guys, whether you watch after the fact or on the audio version or wherever. But show your support. Like the video. Hit subscribe, baby. I got a radio show to get to, and then the Syracuse Mets play a morning baseball game, morning/early afternoon. So I got to run to the station for all that jazz. But we will be back on tomorrow morning at 7:30, bright and early. Again, join the Boy Green Coffee Club. That's how you guys can get into the Discord, and let's grow this Discord, baby. It's going to be cool, and we can talk beyond the hours of 7:30 in the morning. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Take care and enjoy Jets practice. Again, quick prayer circle. Let's get health for our Jets and a bunch of Aaron Rodgers touchdown highlights. God bless. We'll see you guys.